Hey, folks, thanks for joining us again. It's Funniest People You've Never Heard of. Oh, it's right behind me. There's something missing. Todd. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we're waiting on Todd, but while we're waiting on him, I gotta tell you, this episode is gonna be super fun. Handren Seavey brings us through his life, a year on a bus touring the United States with his wife, also his stand-up comedy and his writing process and his social media.
What did I miss? Did I miss anything?
No.
No. There's no show without me, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Peter's trying to take this thing over.
No, Todd, so great of you to join us. Todd here, and we get to chat with Handren Seavey. Handren was super fun and really insightful.
Yeah, as I tell him in the episode, he gives that I don't give a fuck energy off as kind of like one of those East Coast Boston comics, but really funny, really cool guy. So he was great to listen to.
I'm really excited for the holidays. Are you excited for the holidays coming up?
Yeah. I mean, it's always a little tense when you go back to like the house you grew up in. My parents still live in the same house, so all those same kind of feelings of being a little boy. You
know what helps me break the tension is an entire bottle of tequila espacial.
How did I know you were going to say that?
It breaks the tension, even just with putting me at bay, calming me down. So Todd, how can we get our own bottles of tequila espacial?
Just in time for the holidays, go to www.tequilaespacial.com. Buy a bottle for you, buy a bottle for someone else in the family. What could go wrong?
Nothing. And there's nothing wrong with this episode featuring our friend Handren Seavey, funniest people you've never heard of. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Enjoy this chat coming up. Hey, folks. He's right behind me, isn't he? Welcome back to Funniest People You've Never Heard of. Todd's in the outfield, and our guest today is the very funny Handren Seavey. How's it going?
What's happening? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. I've known you for a while. You have a special out called 11 Years.
Yeah.
And that was released last year, right?
I think so. It's getting confusing. But yeah, I think I taped it maybe 2 years ago, and it came out last year.
So you're going on 12, 13 years of stand-up comedy, right? And just recently, you've seen a spike in your social media engagement when you started kind of doing a little more social media specific content, and like what is it that you're putting out there, and if you could describe it to people that haven't seen it yet.
I mean, it's just videos of me, basically putting together a bit that would go on stage and maybe be worked out more to be funny or something. When I look at like how you're watching stuff, it like, I don't know, it works better for like stories, and but it's always something I'm trying to thinking about, something also definitely that will be provocative and get people arguing, and or like it's a little trolly, but I always try to like give it a spin.
This holiday season, it's important to remember that Jesus was not white. Well, what are you saying? He was Middle Eastern. Yeah, but what we think of as the Middle East is because of the Arab invasion in the 600s. Prior to that, there was a lot of different ethnic groups grooving and moving in that area. And we do know that he was Jewish. And Jews are dark-skinned and light-skinned, some even with blue eyes. Huh, blue eyes. So you're a Nazi. I'm just saying, we really don't know. He could have been black, he could have been brown, he could have been a redhead. Fucking wasn't a fucking redhead.
I've been doing one a day since January, and I think that's a big reason too that for the growth in it is just the consistency in putting out stuff. So I'll put out like 3 that don't get much, and then the fourth one gets 100,000, 500,000, and just by doing it constantly, like there's plenty of dud ones that don't go, and they're ones that I go, I think this take on this is going to be really good, and then gets fucking nothing.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I've been thinking that way too. Like, I've been making a big social media push, and I'm like, I'm allowed to have a bomb every once in a while. I'm allowed to have a social media bomb. But for anyone that's going to go there and watch, you're doing this like walk and talk while you're kind of like walking your daughter around the
Usually,
neighborhood.
yeah.
That's great. That's so like fun stand-up dad core type of a thing. Did you find yourself like, I got to do something with.
She's been she usually naps when on walks. Only naps she's fucking 3.5 now, and still the only time she'll take a nap is on a walk in the stroller. And I'd be out on walks for like 2 hours, writing stand up, working on that, but feeling like I was not being productive enough into growing to be able to get a fan base that I can sell tickets to.
Yeah.
And just out of that started doing these videos, and sometimes it would just be like a reaction to, or not a reaction, but just show some other popular video and then cut to me saying something about it. And then eventually I just kind of came up with this format of walking and pushing. And it's like usually between 30 seconds and a minute, and try to say stuff that will make some people happy and piss off other people.
Do you have kids under 5 and are thinking about where to send them to school? Well, I'm here to tell you, don't. By the time they grow up, everything they're being taught in school today will be obsolete and the robots will have taken over, and there's only one job they will allow them to have, and that is...
That one's uranium.
That's right. Mining for minerals. It's all the AI will allow us to do. So get your kids started soon.
For you, your writing process sounds like it comes to you like subconsciously, like like I'm out walking, you're out with your kid or something like that, and then you're thinking about these things. Is that typically the case, or do you dedicate time to like say, all right, I'm going to write 8 premises right now?
No, it's definitely, I come up with it that day. Yeah. Sometimes if I think of one that I go, either that would be a better thing to do as a clip rather than work on it as a stand-up bit, I'll put them in my phone as notes. This would be a good like walking thing, because sometimes there's like history ones where I like to make the video and discuss the history of something or give a take on the history of it, but I go, that's kind of fucking boring for stage.
Yeah, what part of history sticks out to you? Because I feel like that's like a very dad thing. It's like every dad knows everything about World War II. Or
I was a history major.
Okay.
So there's definitely a lot of stuff that but I don't know, all of it's pretty compelling to me. Definitely from, I would say 1900 on now. So World War I and II has really shaped the world that we're in now. So like learning, my main focus was the end of World War I and kind of the formation of the modern Middle East. And why everybody, and that luckily quieted down. Nothing's going on there. So
they solved it. They figured it out over there. Man.
Mission
Good
accomplished.
job, British and French. You cut the lines right where they were supposed to be. Everybody's happy.
Go ahead, Todd.
I'm curious. Just you said like you'll have a few that maybe don't hit. Maybe you'll have a bomb, and then you'll have one that blows up. Speaking of the Middle East, is there no pattern? Like when you pull back and you look, you can't figure out what the calculus is just yet, or are you figuring
sometimes it might be especially if it's like a hot topic right at that moment, you might just hit it right and you go, that one blew up because at that time everybody was talking about this stuff, and so you had like a good take on it. Other times, I swear to God, it's like the hashtags you put, you go, I've seen other things where this would catch on to it, and for some reason my video didn't hit that link of people looking at those things, and you wonder like, I wonder if I'd put truck lifting instead of...
Right. I wonder if I'd put 2 hashtags, comedy and stand-up, or stand-up comedy as one hashtag. Oh, man. See, that's the mental gymnastics that we don't need to be doing.
No,
that's like detrimental.
That's why I don't really, I just, put it out there and just try to move on to the next thing to not think about that. But when I do look at some, I go, how the fuck did that? And then that one.
Yeah. Well, talking about your special, it was 11 years, marking your 11 years in comedy at that point. And, you had just mentioned that you had studied history in college, right?
Yeah.
And so then when does stand-up comedy start for you?
When I was 26, after college, I started doing theater in college. I did a history and theater degree and was performing in Portland, Maine. I pretty much was always doing a play after I graduated college. And I think it was about 2 years. I think I graduated when I was like 24, 25. I went to college for a while too. I think it was like 5.5 years.
Hey, nice, dude. You figured it out by the end though. Yeah.
And was doing plays.
Was it difficult to perform in a play or something like that in Portland, Maine? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's like the suicide capital. Like,
No.
Don't a lot of people in Portland, Maine commit suicide?
No.
Like, isn't that like the highest suicide rate?
I
No?
think you're
I've
thinking
heard
maybe
Washington.
Seattle, Portland, Oregon, maybe. Portland, Maine is beautiful.
Is it beautiful? Okay,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
that always like struck. I was like, okay, maybe I'm totally wrong.
Like
about
it
that.
gets cold in the winter, but still, it's a very
Peter was
quaint
totally going to go there to
town.
kill himself.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I made a plan. So wait,
They
so,
don't even have high buildings. Like there's no bridges. So
Couldn't
you're
do
gonna. Good luck.
but it's okay. So you're in Portland, Maine. And you're performing in theater productions and stuff like that. And
there's
so,
a big art community. There's 2 colleges there too, and so there's a lot of like community theater and I wanted to start doing stand up. I kind of always secretly did, and then after being on stage for many years, I was like, all right, me and my friend made a bet that we were both going to do it. And
No
we
way.
went to open mic and I loved it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to switch over to this. And so I finished that last play I was doing. I never did a play since.
Really?
And just went straight to stand up all the time. Yeah.
Did you do well on the open mic? Is that why
The
you
first
loved it
one
so much?
I didn't do that bad. It wasn't a lot of people there, but I did like 15 minutes because there was only 4 people signed up. So he was like, we're just split up the time, do however much you want.
Wow.
But I had the expectation of this won't go well, but if you like it and if you get the same thrill out of performing as you do performing doing plays, then I would much rather do this because you don't have to work with other people and say other people's lines and go to rehearsals and shit. And so, yeah, when I did that, I was like, all right, I'm going to finish this play and then and I made myself go, I need to get on stage 5 days a week. You want to know a fun 9/11 story? I don't know. How many stories can you start that way? But no, September 10th, 2001, 'twas the night before 9/11, and 6 of the hijackers stayed at a Motel 6 in Portland, Maine. I know that I'm from Maine, and it was big news there. They stayed there, and they went to the strip club around the corner. It's called PT Show Club. PT stood for Pussy Time. These are 6 highly devout Muslim men, some as young as 19, had maybe never seen a naked woman before in their life, and they went to a strip club in Portland, Maine, and then still went through with 9/11. Maine pussy couldn't stop 9/11. It couldn't even make it late for a 6 a.m. flight. The first pussy this guy ever saw, and he still woke up in time for that fucking flight. I like to think they had given up on it. They were like, fuck, this is crazy. We're not doing this. And then they're like, we're going to a strip club. Fuck all this. And then they walked in there and they're like, we're back in. We're back in. Like I toured the country for a year. Me and my wife lived out of a bus. And I was just doing the same hour pretty much all across the country every night.
What was van life like, and how did you and your wife decide, all right, yeah, we're going to do this?
It was a crazy year. It was a lot of fun. I wouldn't do a year again.
This is before LA?
This is before LA. We ended in LA. We left Boston and ended in LA. And we started thinking of it as an idea. And then we were also thinking that we were going to move to either New York or LA. And then we go, wow, why don't we do this for a year? And then we found a school bus and then we're like, okay, I guess we are doing this. And we bought it and then just started working on it from there and building the bus and then also like setting up the tour and stuff.
That is so cool. I mean, any tips for anybody that is curious about the van life? Like what really saved you and what was the toughest part?
Walmart parking lots are always good because you can always park overnight there for the most part, except for in San Diego. Fuck you, San Diego. I get it, dude. You got them on your fucking...
San Diego?
Yeah, they're on the streets there. It's a big enough problem trying to...
Sure.
Is your wife in comedy also?
No. She's just, she worked remotely from laptop the whole time.
Okay,
so
cool.
We had Wi-Fi and stuff on the bus. But comedy-wise, because a lot of dudes are doing that or living out of their car, trying to figure out, if you're doing like a DIY tour and trying to book it out, I think around 2 months is the magical time to be hitting people up for spots, or to try and if it's any later, you just try and hit somebody for 6 months. They go, oh, we're not booking that far ahead yet, or they sometimes I got booked and then would get there and they forgot they booked me.
Oh no. Yeah.
And then if it's less than 2 months, usually the spots are getting filled up or venues are getting booked already. So when we were doing it, we didn't really know where we were going to be, say 3 months out, but everything we were doing was just kind of 2 months ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time.
Right. Oh, that's smart. And then wait, for the bus, you said you found a school bus. Did you outfit, like, did you paint the outside or anything?
Oh yeah, you can look at. I believe it's still on Instagram. Wanderbus and Us.
Cool. Oh man.
But yeah, I gutted the whole inside,
awesome.
painted the outside. I pretty much, with some help here and there from my dad, my uncle, built the whole inside out myself.
Amazing.
Wow. That's incredible. So then what, like, you know, and when did you end up landing in Los Angeles? When did the bus get here?
2018, I believe.
2018.
Yeah.
Do you make friends immediately, or you know, was that tough? You know, in such a singular art form.
I knew a lot of people out here already. Some people from Boston that had moved out here were out here already, so it wasn't too hard. And we came through here and stayed for 2 weeks to check it out on the bus, and then kept going and did another 2 months on the road. But as part of, because we'd been to New York all the time. We're going to choose New York or LA. And we'd been to New York all the time. We knew what that was. Didn't really want to live in, it's just too much city. I can't live in that much city.
Hard to park a bus in New York City.
That it's just, I mean, with the kid now too, I can't imagine animals that have children in fucking Manhattan. It's crazy to have, like,
Yeah.
how do you walk a stroller? How do you walk a stroller down the street? Or
Oh man, you gotta be real. You gotta really love the city. Yeah.
and did not have a car and just be like, I just rely on the city to get my kid to the hospital if he's choking. Like, wild.
Yeah, man.
What happened to your bus? Where's the bus at?
where's
We
the bus
sold
now?
it. It went on, dude. If you're out there and you bought my bus, hit the show up, because I would love to see. Some guy bought it. He wanted to do trips. He was going to renovate it so him and his buddies could go snowboarding in it for a winter.
That's awesome.
Cool.
The bus lives on.
Yeah. We thought, you know, we were the story. The bus was just like, dude, you're just part of the story.
Yeah, same bus, just pass it on and on and on. So then, you know, for you, did it benefit you having started stand up in a different place other than Los Angeles?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, getting to start in a little place like, man, I don't think there's anybody. There might be one guy that I started with that's still doing stand-up too. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to your friend that you signed up for the open mic?
Oh, he quit. Travis Kern, you're a bitch, and he quit.
Dang it, Travis. I bet he's living a happy life, though, I'll tell you that.
He's driving a bus, but as an actual bus driver, yeah.
No, he's a bartender in Portland, Maine. Check him out. Go see him at the bar. Say hi.
Oh, dude,
He actually
awesome.
ran for, I think, mayor of Portland a few years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Without any good mic skills?
I know. He hadn't been on a mic in like 2 years.
You
I'm
could have
like,
helped. He could have. Oh man, that'd be great. So then, you know, you're here in LA and you're really focused. But when did you feel like you were getting better, or was there like a big like stage or like plateau that you reach where you're like, oh wow, like I'm really confident in this, but also I'm getting the response I want from audiences? Did that come in a moment, or like gradually over time?
I think definitely over time. I have a good friend, Louis Ramey. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's a very funny comic. He's got a old Comedy Central special. It's great. He also did like Live at the Apollo when he was like 19, and he killed it on it. He told me this once, that he tries to do this, and ever since then I've kind of thought about it in that way of like how long it takes to grow and stuff. And he said every 5 years he tries to change up his comedy as far as what he focuses on, to go from like storytelling or to like, for, you know, really focus just on joke writing or doing this.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it like fosters in an amount of growth that you're going to get each year. But I found that for me, getting better and getting more comfortable became in having confidence of going to bigger places, because I grew up in the middle of the woods in a small town. So moving to Portland was a big, intimidating city. And for some reason, I had in my head for a long time that there was going to be people who knew more than me in cities, or that like,
Oh, interesting.
I just wasn't going to be, I was going to get on stage and freeze up because somebody heckled her. And then once I got to the point of, you know, getting into Boston and doing well there, I was kind of like, I think we're all the same. And I think that even though I'm from this podunk little town, I don't think any one of these people has any better sense than I do.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
met you and you give off huge I don't give a fuck energy. And in the best way possible.
It took a long time to get there. It
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah, what goes in? What went into that? Because at some stage you're like, yeah, I should be, like you just said, I should be listening to myself, because on stage nobody's going to be me other than me, and nobody can be better than me at being me.
Getting out here, definitely, and after being here a while and realizing, because in like Boston, when I moved from Portland to there to like ascend in there was like a couple steps of if you get into this club and be featuring there, that's the highest you're going to get there, because you're never going to headline that club because they're just bringing in, national headliners or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Then once I got here and I realized there's no way to do that necessarily that really means anything, and that the only way to ascend, for me in particular, how I feel, is to just create my own audience. And by doing that, I had to stop caring what other people thought, or trying to do, pleasy things at the clubs to get. I was like, this booker might pick me or they might not, or I can just get bigger and she doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, when you're talking about building your audience, those are some of the things that people look at, like, numbers and who's into this person. And, especially with booking, it's a lot of places it can be very corporate. And so, even that person that you're auditioning for might not have final
and once
say.
you realize that, I mean, there are some bookers that, do look at the comedy or whatever, but ultimately they go, we're a business. And especially coming out of COVID, they're like, we need to sell tickets. And if you can just get big enough to fill the room, it doesn't matter what they think of you. They're going to have you at their place, and you get to do whatever you want anyway.
Yeah. And so then getting into that material, is there a joke that you used to do that you don't do anymore that you kind of wish you still did?
There's one that I think people would be, I mean, it went well at the special, but there's plenty of times I was doing it other places that it didn't go well, and I think it was because it was too soon, and I think we're so far away from it now that it would almost do better. And it was about if the ghost of Christmas future came to George Floyd in December and showed him 6 months in the future, he would just be like, why am I on all these murals with Kobe Bryant? What happened to Kobe too? Like, because he wasn't dead yet either. Some loved it. Others were just like, don't even bring up either of those people.
Yeah. And that's the high wire act that the stand-up can be at times, where you're trying to figure it out. Like, we did a show just this past week, and, it was, I think I brought you up right after my host set, and I was like, I was doing a lot of new stuff, and it was not great for me. But then you were like, yeah, that audience was very conservative, and I was like, yeah, they were just kind of trying to. In my mind, that meant they're trying to look for something a little more silly. They don't want, post-election anything or anything like that. And like how quickly now can you get a read for the audience? And like, do you do
a lot
anything
better?
That sets you in? Yeah.
But even in that sense, with that audience, people like think they're bombing, and it's just like, no, they just don't agree with you. Like when somebody comes out and they're like, rough week, and they're like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, I even said that.
Where
I was
like, you go over to the east side and go up and go, oh, it's been a hard week, and everybody goes, it has, and you're like, they just don't feel that way. They still want you to make them laugh, but just don't assume they're going to emotionally agree with you right off the bat.
That's what I said. I said something to the effect of like, well, it's a good week for the 73 million people, blah, blah, blah. And they were all in that room. I was like, oh boy, literally a bus of people from Iowa. Yeah. Like quite literally.
There's like 4 or 5 different vibes of rooms, and you get into one place and you go, oh, this is kind of like that one.
You can kind of feel it in the air a little bit.
Yeah. You go, this reminds me of that place. I bet that. And then you go, the audiences are kind of the same. I would say one place where I was like, there is no even mainstream in this town was Asheville, North Carolina.
Really?
Super hippie.
Considered like the Portland of the East.
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
I mean, I did a joke about, I don't know, like killing a chicken growing up, and they're like, we don't do that. Like,
right.
That chicken had a name.
Yeah. Well, it was the Vegan Comedy Festival, but
I mean, it was something like,
and so then, looking at your focus now, your dad, and what what are the topics that you're focusing on now in your stand-up comedy? Where are you going?
I don't know. Just anything that comes to me, really.
Yeah.
Just constantly trying to write more, and anytime I think of something, write it down and then go and flush it out on stage.
And now I have a daughter. I am a new father. I have a little girl. Thank you. Thank you. It's been pretty amazing. She actually walked in on my wife giving me a blowjob the other day. Yeah. Apparently she's walking now. We didn't know that, but we did get it on camera. And subscribe to our OnlyFans if you want to see her first step.
Are you doing more dates or like around the country, or are you looking
Trying
to?
Yeah. Hopefully in the next year, as I get, have more people that would buy tickets, be able to start doing weekends and stuff around the country. Right now, I got another kid on the way, so I'm sticking close to here through January. But then hopefully make some money on the road. If you'd like to book me, you fucking hit me up.
Yeah, get him in here. So then, throughout, it's coming to like the end of the year here, and then like next year, do you ever set like any like stand-up goals for yourself, or like things you want to do?
No, not really. Like this year, for example, all I said, because I started doing it maybe in November, December last year, but I said January 1st, I'm gonna do one every day and see.
Like a walk and talk video.
Walk and talk video or one of those, and then most weeks or something I'll put up a stand-up clip once a week or something too. But I'm gonna do that every day and see where it gets me at the end of the year. And so far it's like 45,000 followers more.
Yeah.
Nice.
But now I would like to, its real focus is to, get on the road and get to the point of doing weekends at clubs and selling tickets, because just got to start bringing in the money.
That's it. Yeah, man. Why not? And then, if someone's watching this and they're like, hey, I want to see this guy live, what can they expect from a Handren Seavey live show, live performance? What are they going to get?
I don't know. Funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that's what it comes. It's like, this is gonna be funny.
Yeah,
It doesn't necessarily have like an agenda to it or anything. It's just like, hey,
no. And I never do that with even coming up with hours. It's never like based around one thing. It's usually I'll build it just with putting different bits in certain spots to keep the energy right, but also just being like, after an hour or after a year of writing, this is all the stuff I have now. Where can I fit it into a cohesive hour? And now I have it end with here. So it's never like I'm gonna write an hour about this or all this stuff. It's more so if you see me do an hour, it's like I might have a 10-minute story about this thing, but then I'll have 8 minutes of just one-liners at the other end of it type thing.
Yeah. And like building bits and stories and stuff like that, where do you, like, what's the process for that?
This is what I do for stories. And I try to tell, usually anytime I meet like a comic or something, and they might ask, I just don't like talk to them, because I go, prove that you're going to stick around. Like I don't, I don't want to like tell somebody like, here's some advice. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, I fucking quit. And your advice was dumb.
Right. Yeah.
But if you want to quit, I can encourage you, quit.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there's one thing,
if you're on the fence about it,
give up.
Quit.
God, just quit. Yeah. Just save us all.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis, your friend. Yeah. Run for mayor.
That was the one admirable thing Travis did. He quit when he wanted to quit. But I was talking to this, somebody goes, do you have any advice for how to write a story? And I go, I was like, all right. I'll actually talk to you. I go, do you want this is how I do it. And the first sentence out of my mouth, they interrupted me and I go, never mind.
Forget it. Yeah.
But no, what I was going to tell them was if I think of a story that I could go, this would make a good bit, or I should work on this as a bit, I'll tell it verbatim, 1 or 2 times on stage, and just figure out where the funny parts are in it. It's usually going to be too long. I'm going to say too much stuff. Once I figure out a few of the punches, I will then try and tell it as quickly as possible to just get to those punchlines.
Yeah.
How short can I make the story to still get the things that I thought were funny in it? And then you realize, oh, I need to add a little bit here for explanation or a little. So then as you build it out, then you go, okay, I have to say this stuff to be able to set up this thing, but it makes it not have a joke for 30 seconds. Is there another funny little bit I can add into this part?
Right.
So it's like you start long, shorten it, and then as you build it out, you're adding in little funny parts, and then maybe you realize, oh, I can connect this, and but that's how I usually will do it, and it'll go from a 5-minute story to a 2-minute story to ultimately like a 10-minute story at the end.
One last thing before we take off, we like to end every episode with a referral. So if there's someone you think we should have on this program, what comedian, artist, influencer, creative person do you think we should feature here?
Oh, he's a very funny man. He's newer to here. Gittler Raphael.
Gittler Raphael.
A fellow from Boston as well.
Cool.
Very funny man. And check him out. He's just started doing shows and stuff around here. He's been in LA maybe a year or two.
Okay.
He was in New York before that, but very funny guy.
Gittler. All right, great. Well, folks, this is Handren Seavey, Todd in the outfield. Thanks so much for joining us. Now you know Handren Seavey. Now he's one of the funniest people you never heard of. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Take care. Bye. Funniest People You've Never Heard Of is a production of Toby or Not Toby Productions. Executive producer, Todd Fields. Producer and host, Peter Murphy. Studio space provided by Third Wheel. Theme song written and performed by Justin Fields. Brought to you by Tequila Especial. Don't forget to like and subscribe.